Hello everyone! I'll be honest, at first I didn't plan to make a video about David, but under my previous video about the Commander investment tier list, there were comments from people who disagreed with my evaluation of David. Long story short, in that video I said that I don't recommend him for the field and that there are better options. In today's video, we'll briefly talk about David's skills, I'll show different duel tests, compare him with Philip and Hector, and answer the question of whether I was right in that video or not. I started this channel in late spring 2025. Now, there are already more than 1,800 of us, and I'm truly grateful to all of you for the support. I try to make my videos high quality and easy to understand for everyone. And if you want to support my channel even more, I'd really appreciate it if you vote for me in the Best Emerging Creator category. The developers run the Governors of the Year 2025 awards every year, and this year I'm taking part. You can vote every day, and if you spend all your 8 votes, you'll have a chance to get gems. And if you keep the trend and spend all 8 of your votes every day throughout the awards, you'll have a chance to win a Joan of Arc statue. I can already imagine comments saying something like, "Start watching from this timestamp." But for me, this was really important. Now let's finally talk about David. Let's start with his skills, so you have a general idea of him, but very briefly. 1 skill launches 2 combo attacks against up to 3 enemy troops in a fan, damage factor 1400, an area damage commander with the same damage factor as Arthur. Overall, this is exactly what gives him a chance to be a field commander, because this is actually really strong. He also removes some of the listed debuffs, and I like that. It's genuinely useful even for the field. Moving on, 2 skill, and here, for the field, we get only 35% defense, which is sad. Don't get me wrong, defense is good, but I would at least like to see some speed here. With the new Crystal Academy, the game has changed. Many players don't invest in cavalry speed, but speed is crucial for cavalry. Is the lack of speed critical? I'd say it's not critical, but you need to understand that it's a significant downside. 3 skill is completely for garrison, so it's not interesting for us. 4 skill. Whenever this commander's troop uses an active skill while attacking a troop on the map, the target takes 40% more combo attack damage for the next 3 seconds. So basically, thanks to this debuff, the target will take 40% more combo attack damage. It's important to note that this does not work for area damage, only for the target you are hitting, which is, of course, unfortunate. But it's still a very solid debuff, because most players run 2 cavalry marches, and in the current meta, those are combo attack damage commanders. And since this debuff is applied to the enemy march itself, it means it will work for all the combo attack damage that march receives. The expert skill is completely for garrison as well, so we skip it and move on to the summary. The first thing that stands out is that David can be upgraded cheaply. If you only need David for the field, you don't need his 3rd and expert skills at all, since they are purely for garrison. That gives us 2 upgrade options for David, 2 5s for 200 gold heads, or 3 5s for 390 gold heads. Honestly, I highly doubt that the debuff from the 4th skill is worth spending almost twice as many gold heads, because even with 2 5s, the target will still receive a 20% more combo attack damage debuff. I believe that if you're considering David only for the field, the better choice is 2 5s for 200 gold heads, since 390 gold heads is a very serious investment. As an alternative at that point, you could consider Philip or Hector, which we'll talk about very soon. I think we're done with the skills, so now let's take a look at the tests, starting with 1 versus 1 duels. And to be honest, there isn't much to say here. In duels, he's bad. This is especially clear when fighting against Gam Chan Achilles. But I have much more interesting tests, where I also added Philip and Hector. A small clarification. You may notice that the results in the same duels are different. This is due to different city skins used in these tests, so unfortunately the conditions weren't perfect. I'll take this into account in future videos, and for now, the most accurate version is shown in this table. Based on the results, David showed the worst performance, but to be fair, the difference isn't that big. Hector showed the best result, which isn't surprising since he's more suited for duels. The next duel is 3 versus 3. This test was done specifically to understand who performs better in the field. In all cases, Arthur David were attacked last. Here you can see the result of the march we're testing, and here is the total result of all 3 of our marches. Individually, David performed better than Philip, but we have to remember that Philip buffs our marches, so in the overall result, he ends up doing slightly better than David. Hector showed the best result, both individually and overall. That said, if this were 5 versus 5 or a murder ball, Philip would perform better than he does here. So I'd say Hector and Philip are the best options, but you can clearly see that the difference between all of them is quite small, and David doesn't look much worse. And the last test is 5 versus 5, and unfortunately I didn't do it for Hector and Philip. The idea came too late. But here we can see how much worse Arthur David is compared to the first cavalry march, Achilles' Gam Gam Chan. And honestly, the difference is significant, but that's normal. The second march is usually weaker. Let's sum it all up. Based on the tests, we can conclude that David in the second cavalry march is a decent alternative to Hector and Philip. The difference between them isn't huge, but it does exist. Honestly, I expected less from David, and he surprised me. I admit that I rushed my conclusions in that previous video and should have waited for the tests. So here's my updated recommendation for 2 cavalry marches. The first march is Achilles' Gam Gam Chan. Nothing changes there. For the second march, everything is situational. If you have Hector or Philip, use them. Personally, I prefer Philip. But if you don't have them and don't plan to invest in them, I would consider David at 2 5s. To clarify, the tests were done with an expertise David, and it's obvious that a 2 5s David will perform worse because of the weaker debuff, but I wouldn't say the result will be much worse. So, as a commander for 200 gold heads, I think he's a great option. Investing 390 gold heads to upgrade him to 3 5s, if you don't need David as a garrison commander, is something I wouldn't do. I'd rather choose Philip or even save those gold heads for future commanders. I hope this video was useful to you. If it was, don't forget to leave your vote. Thanks for watching.